Hey guys, so now this is the second date. So now the second date is going to be about conflict, agree to disagree, and managing it. All right, so let's go into a few things. Now, one thing I want to make very clear is two particular things. 69% of your relationship problems are unsolvable. They're perpetual. Perpetual meaning they're lifestyle and personality differences that exist between the two of you that will never change. Meaning you're going to be arguing about it in year one, and you're going to be arguing it again about it in year 20. Okay, awesome. So now, the game changer is not you guys' problems, but it's how you approach your problems that you have. Okay, so let me explain what I mean by that. So now the goal of you arguing, which he goes over more in the book, more in detail, is you guys building mutual understanding about your differences and a place to accept the differences. Now, these are perpetual problems, accept the differences, not situational. Situational problems is, are you going to pick up the groceries? Are you going to pick up the food? Did you pick up the food? Did you get the kids? Who's getting kids this Friday? Who's paying the bill? Are you paying the bill? I'm paying the bill. Who money goes here? Who money goes there? Is this your money? My money? Is this ours? Is it going to be hers, mine, yours, and ours? Is it going to be ours, mine's, and yours? Are we going to see the grandparents this year? We're not going to see it. Those are just so solvable. Like, you decide who's going to do what. Perpetual problems is things like neatness. This is the God I believe in. I'm Christian. You're Muslim. Personality, I express my feelings like this, you express my feelings like that. I don't like to be touched, you like to be touched. You want to have sex 2 to 3 times out the week, I want to have sex 5 times out the week, or 2 to 3 times a day. Those are perpetual problems. So I just want to make those very clear as far as the differences, okay? So now the thing is you building mutual understanding about it and acceptance. And the date is more so going to be about you guys' differences and how you manage the conflict. For example, he talks about in the book, he has this one couple who are, but I'm gonna use my own life for example. Like, it was this one girl I was dating way back in high school, and she was very, very, very insecure about her weight, her body, which most people are. But I eventually actually know, why do you feel insecure about your body? Because to me, you're beautiful. I love you. I love your body, your skin color, whatever have you, right? So the story, which is why he talking about this early, before you hit the problem, behind the problem wasn't her body. That's it wasn't the problem. The problem was, she said she would be compared to her cousin a lot. And with being compared to her cousin and men not finding her interest in her, but finding interest in her cousin, it made her feel insecure, and it brings that back up in her mind at times. Like, she's reliving that because that's something that hurt her feelings. So if you make a comment about my body, it's doing this to me because these are the things that happen. This is where the understanding came in. I was like, oh, that bothers you like that? Yeah, it does. This is an enduring vulnerability. Now, her vulnerability healed before we broke up because we obviously did not get married. But this is an example of, man, this is of a problem and how to approach it. Okay? So now, let's go into how they feel about conflict. There are some people that don't like conflict because of things that happen to them. But it's very important that you find this out because there could be a lot of, at times, misinterpretations. And the goal when you argue or when you have a discussion about something that happened is the story behind it. Like in the book, he talks about how this one lady didn't like confrontation, period, because her mom was never confrontive. And she ended up internalizing that. So her mom, when she was married, she never confronted her dad. She would always get in the car, go to the hotel. They'll be at the hotel for 3 days, come back, never talk about the issue, like nothing ever happened. And she internalized this in her marriage. So she interpreted conflict as problem. Like we're about to not be together anymore. And it wasn't that, which they eventually, because they created a safe space to have that comment, they eventually talked that out. Well, this is what happened, this is what happened, this is how I feel, this is how you feel. And they realized they was misinterpreting each other. Okay, so this is why this is very important conversation to have. So now, he does talk about masters versus disasters. Let me explain what that means by that. Because we talked about the problems, and in fact, you're going to talk about your problems and understand that. And you're going to ask open-ended conversations about how you express anger. How did you deal with conflict? The differences in personality. How you feel about money. How I feel about money. What are your ambitions? What are my ambitions? You want 3 kids, 4 kids, 5 kids, 6 kids. Do you want to do this some weekends? Do you want to do that some weekends? How do you feel about... So those differences are good to talk about because they're going to be arguments later. and why you feel that way, why you feel this way about money, why you feel this way about God, why you feel this way about your family, why this is important to you, because it's not going anywhere. 69%. So now, how do you stay together when only 69% of the person that you're dealing with won't change? So now, in masters versus disasters, masters are people that are happily together, and disasters are people who either divorced or no longer together, or together only on paper but not emotionally. So now what masters do, they do what I just told you. They do the thing, and when they can't do where they have the acceptance thing or the calm conversation in the middle of their argument, they've done something to themselves and to each other with cherishing each other, which goes back to trusted commitment we talked about before, where they'll laugh off the problem. They just start laughing. They'll be arguing, and they start laughing, and then they get over it. They just accept that you just love your mama, or whatever crazy thing it is that his or her does that gets on your nerves. And they limit regrettable words they can't take back. It's not that they don't do it. They do it, but how they fix it and how they validate that your feelings was hurt by this that happened and this that I said is consistent. So when there's an argument, I validate that you felt this way, that I made you feel this way, that I did this and it hurt your feelings. Not that I'm sorry that you feel this way, which is like if you feel hurt, which is like me dismissing your feelings. That I hurt your feelings is me validating your feelings. It's very important. He goes over the verbiage more in the book. So that's the difference between these two. Now, for the date, he does recommend that you go to a secluded place to talk about this, because this is going to be a perpetual thing. The conflict, managing it, difference in personalities and lifestyle, talking about that. He does recommend that you do the questionnaire about you guys' differences, and you bring 2 to 3 things there to the date that will be differences. I would recommend, as a man, you bring up financial, because you don't want to be with a woman who just looks to you to financially, like, just pay for everything like you're a bank, because you do not want to be a bank in a modern day relationship, especially if you're an average guy. If you're an average guy, meaning you're watching this, and you make under 100 grand a year, you do not want to be the bank in your relationship. And you bring up sexual and emotional, like as far as those things. That's what I would recommend. He has other things that he recommends to go over as well. So yeah, that is everything. So now when you do the date, he does say to me that somebody did argue when they did this date. Out of the 25 couples, one of them did argue. So he would recommend you do something secluded. That if you're going to do a restaurant, do like the middle of the day, afternoon, where there's not a lot of people, or you can do it at home date, or park, or the beach, where people won't hear you guys talking about this, because it can be a deep conversation. Like the lady, she was talking about her family history and what happened to her and why it triggers her. And with girls I've dated, they'll go to past relationships 5, 6, 10 years ago that scarred them a particular way, and it's now meeting them here. Something you did brings them back in their past, which is an enduring vulnerability. And when you find these things out as well, they're enduring vulnerabilities and their triggers, please respect them in men and women. If he has something he's not over yet that happened in his past that hurt him because his mama, daddy, sister, brother, cousin said something that did to him, and when you touch him a certain kind of way, bring him back, respect that about them. Don't say they need to get over it or they need to get past it or it's been too long. Respect that about them if you want to be with them, especially if you're talking about wanting to marry that person. Respect that. Don't touch it. Don't just breeze over it. Don't emotionally invalidate if you still in your feelings, nigga. Don't do that. Men and women, don't do that, because this will shatter the relationship, or cause a domestic violence thing to happen as well, which he goes over a little bit. So that is everything. Signing guys out. Check back with you next week. By the way, the book is in the comments section. No, the book is not in the comments section. The book is in the description, so you guys can get it. And see you guys again now. Ciao.